What's up, Lost Tribe? Welcome to episode 3 of Pass the Rocks interview sessions. I'm Brian Swallow, and we are joined by a very special guest today, college basketball legend, godfather of March Madness on ESPN, and a proud member of the tribe, our friend Seth Greenberg. Seth, how are you?
I wouldn't say I'm godfather of the Final Four, but I am a basketball guy that was fortunate enough after he got fired from Virginia Tech to get a great gig at ESPN and be part of Game Day and work with incredible people. And I do have a great passion and a love for the game of basketball, and I've been fortunate to make a living talking basketball, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, it's I can't wait to get into that. Before we start, just for our younger audience, probably only knows you from ESPN, but prior to taking that position, you were a coach for 34 years, 22 as a head coach, two-time ACC Coach of the Year. It's quite a set of accomplishments. Is that something you always envisioned growing up, being involved in sports, being a coach, or did you have other dreams growing up?
Well, so when you're a little kid, you dream about becoming a player. I was fortunate to go to college on a scholarship and played at a high level. But, to me, I was sitting at the five-star basketball camp 100 years ago, listening to the great UB Brown. And I said, if I can't play, I'm feeling how he's impacting me. Man, what a great experience that would be to have a chance to impact someone else. And I really never could think of a time in my adult life I didn't want to coach.
Mm-hmm.
I was very, very fortunate along my journey. The day I graduated college at Fairleigh Dickinson, better known as Harvard and Hackensack. I got an assistant coaching job at Columbia University, and from there, Columbia to Pitt to Virginia to Miami, where they started the program back from Miami to Long Beach State, and then Long Beach State to South Florida, and then to Virginia Tech. So it's been an incredible journey, and that's the most important thing. You get lost in what you do, you get lost in the people you do it with, and you basically try to make memories and hopefully have some type of impact on someone else's life, like someone had on yours.
Exactly. And, obviously that goes, beyond sports into whatever it is you're doing. And, there's a lot of that at Lost Tribe with our CEO and founder, Lenny Silverman, obviously impacting a lot of kids as well. What was that first moment, going back to you as an athlete? What was that first moment, maybe as a kid or as a teenager, where you knew you had a chance to, be a special player, maybe to play after high school?
Yeah, my brother was a very good player. So I watched him get recruited at the very, very highest level. He was an elite player. It was just, my dad played for the great Claire B at LIU, played on some great teams. I was around it my whole life. Now, I played other sports growing up. I played baseball and played competitive tennis and did some other things. But I always was in love with the game of basketball, and probably a little bit because of the exposure I received from my dad, watching him play in New York City playgrounds with his old friends, and who really understood how to play the game the right way. And, it was something that I just, I never thought there would be a time I wouldn't do that. I was in love with the game. I had a tremendous work ethic and a passion for it. I was in an environment where one of my older brothers was a very good player. So he was able to help guide me and push me and challenge me. And so it was just, you got to get lost in that moment. And, I was kind of lost in the moment of competing as I'm playing as a high level as I could play.
Yeah, it's interesting to grow up in a family like that, where you have that older brother that's really good and your dad's a coach. And what did you watch the NBA? Were there other players outside of your own family that you would try to emulate?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my dad wasn't a coach. He played for a great coach. Claire B was one of the great coaches in the history of the game of basketball at Long University. He was Bobby Knight's first mentor. I played for one of Bobby Knight's former assistants and a guy that coached UB Brown in high school in Alabama. But of course. You grew up in that era. I'm 65 years old. It's it was the black and white Knicks. The bunny ears on top of the TV, and listen to Marv Albert, and it wasn't color TV, but it was Frazier and Earl Monroe and Bradley and DeBuscher and the captain, Willis Reed. I was at the game where Willis Reed came out of the tunnel.
Oh wow,
yeah. I know exactly where I was when Magic came across and shot that little rolling hook against to help them win a championship. And We were around it. We would go to the holiday festival every year. We'd take the train in from Long Island to Madison Square Garden, go to Thursday night doubleheaders. So I was around it a lot. It was part of our lifestyle, and it wasn't forced upon us. It was just it was something we fell in love with as kids.
Yeah, yeah. It's what was it like? Like, so, growing up in that time and then transitioning into your college career, and then that ends. What kind of like spurred you on that you were like, I want to stay with this. I want to try coaching. And how did that kind of path of your career get started?
Yeah, trying coaching wasn't the option. I was going to be a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't my mindset. Wasn't, well, yeah, maybe I'll get this coaching thing. I worked the 5-star camp my whole life. After I got into college and built the network, and it was a place where if you really were passionate about coaching, like myself and John Calipari and my brother, and you could go down the list. Rick Pitino. I mean, there's Ronnie Rothstein, who was an assistant with the Heat, and Brendan Malone, who's the head coach. His son was just a ball boy, Michael, who's now the coach of Nuggets. It was something I was going to do. At what level? I didn't know. I probably would have been very happy coaching at Fairleigh Dickinson, my alma mater, someday. And I didn't think I was going to be coaching the ACC in the Big East and Conference USA, and winning championships at Long Beach State, in the Big West, and beating UNLV. Just wanted to coach. I wanted to impact other people's lives, but you're competitive and you want to try to get as high as you can. But there was never a time I didn't think I wasn't going to coach. In fact, even when I got into this 10 years, I'll be starting 10 years. I always thought probably I'd go back to it, and I've had opportunities. But ESPN's an incredible place, and the people here are incredible. And you're part of a great team, and everyone's there to help you have a great show. And it's the most selfless group of people that you work with. And so right now, I mean, I've been really, really fortunate to be accepted and being in this environment.
All those, and look, those great teams, that's what builds everything, whether you're working at a local community center all the way up to, a Division I college basketball program. What were some of the best stadiums to go into and win as a visitor, as the opposing team going in and just disappointing fans in a specific stadium? What are those 2 or 3 stadiums that you like have the most cherished away wins at?
I've won in the most iconic arenas in the history of the game. So I've won at Falk Allen Fieldhouse. I've won at Cameron Indoor Stadium. I've won at the Dean Dome. I've won at the Comcast, now it's the Xfinity Center. I've won at the Pyramid. I've won at Freedom Hall. I've been fortunate to win. I've won in UNLV.
Yeah.
When they were UNLV. So I've been really fortunate to, you stick around long enough, I guess you get a chance to win some of those places. But I don't have one because I wouldn't want to take away from the players that helped us get to that. We have 4 wins against number 1 teams in the country, and 3 of them were on the road. So those were always obviously memorable.
What were some of the most athletic players, or the relationships that you still have with players maybe that you coached that you cherish today? What were some of those players?
I cherish all of them. During the pandemic, we had Zoom calls with a bunch of them just to kind of stay in touch, make sure everyone was doing all right. That was set up by our managers. But I mean, I'm really proud of all our guys. Lucius Harris, Brian Russell, Reggie Cohn in South Florida, Jamon Gordon, who played for me at Virginia Tech, just went into the Virginia Tech Hall of Fame. Xavier Nadell was already in there. Deron Washington was one of the most freakish athletes that I ever coached. I had, great leaders and that played for me at Long Beach State. Chris Tower, the guy that could really shoot it. So I don't like to single out any of them.
Sure.
Because to take, I'm very fortunate. I mean, I am in a position that I'm in terms of my life and my career, taking care of my family, because I had guys believe in me, and I don't take that for granted. I mean, that's tricky players make tricky coaches, guys that allow you to coach them, guys that allow you to have an impact on their lives. But I stay in pretty close contact with a good number of those guys. I think that's what it's all about. it's once, there's three phases to your relationship with your players. It's the recruiting process, it's coaching them, and then it's after coaching them. And they're all different and unique, and they're all end up in the end, like, when you recruit them, it's you're trying to develop a rapport and a relationship and a trust. And when you coach them, you've got to tell them some things they don't want to hear. You've got to set a standard, and you've got to hold them to that standard. You've got to demand that, certain things that, because the standard is the standard. And there are your non-negotiables and your core beliefs have to be enforced at all times. If you're going, or if not, you're going to lose your team. So, but the relationships you have with your guys after, that's the very best. When you see them become husbands, when you see them become fathers, when you see them, be successful, man, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of coaches, whether you're coaching 6-year-old soccer or you're in the NBA or the NFL or something like that, all say that, right? You always see or try to see the growth of them as human beings, and I'm sure coaching as long as you did, you have a lot of those relationships. Like you said, you're still connected to a lot of them, so that's unbelievable. What kind of pressure difference? The tournament has become so big, March Madness. And you're on, obviously, as an analyst for ESPN. How has the pressure changed from being a coach in one of those programs to, giving people, predictions and analysis of how the tournament's going to go? And obviously, ESPN has one of the biggest bracket competitions, probably the biggest one. So is there any pressure in that, or do you just kind of, you're just going to be an honest, straight shooter and tell them how you think it's going to go?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing you worry about in TV is make sure you pronounce the guy's name correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, besides that, it's the game tells you where to go, and teams tell you where to go, and players tell you where to go. And I don't have an agenda. I have zero agenda. I know some people, you hate Duke because Duke beat you. I couldn't give a shit. It has nothing to do with it. I say what I see. If Duke's not playing defense, they're not playing defense. So they become Duke without the D. I mean, it's just, just the way it is. Picking the NCAA tournament, if I knew exactly what was going to happen, I'd go to Vegas and say, screw it. It's hard. There are variables. But, I literally have no agenda. I spend an incredible amount of time. If you see the other side of my office back here, literally, I've been working on this coming season. I just did probably about 100 pages of notes today.
Wow.
On teams and analytics and incoming players and things of that nature. So, I mean, the amount of preparation I put in, I'll do 8 to 10 hours a day, every single day until the first game's played. And then after that, it's even greater than that. But,
right.
So, I mean, no pressure to pick a game. I mean, you can be right, you can be wrong. You just, you tell, if you're honest and you don't get manipulated by what other people say, that's all you can be. Now, in terms of coaching, now that's pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different level. There's self-imposed pressure in coaching. There's pressure of the media. There's pressure of boosters. There's pressure of people that don't know what they don't know. Quite honestly, who think they know. It's hard to win. I don't care if you're Kentucky. I don't care if you're Virginia Tech. I don't care if you're North Carolina or you're Duke or whomever. It's hard to win. And the stuff that goes on during the course of a week with your team, within the infrastructure team, maybe with a family member, maybe with a test, maybe with a girlfriend, maybe with, who knows? There's so many variables that impact how your team is going to play. You try to control your controllables as much as you can, but the pressure to walk out on a court on national TV and basically, your rear end is hanging out there. Basically, you're an idiot if you lose and you're a genius if you win. And I never took either of them very seriously.
Right.
But although, be honest, I mean, sure, people taking shots at you when you get let go of Virginia Tech and you think you're about to have the best team you ever had. It's not easy, but really hard on your family. It was easier when I got let go of Pitt, when I was single. When I got let go at Virginia Tech, when you have 3 daughters and a wife, and you got to pick up your youngest daughter and move her as a senior. Now she's done well. She went to Villanova. She went to law school. She's done very, very well. But I mean, that's pressure, but not pressure compared to what people, when people say, "Oh, you really had it tough during the pandemic." No, I didn't really have it tough compared to 90% of the people in the world.
Sure.
I'm very, very, blessed and very, very fortunate. And that's the sad thing about what's going on. Everyone internalizes. Oh, this is in relation to really what other people are going through. It's not terrible. I've had an incredible life. And have a great family and a great, then I'm doing something I love.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting thinking about taking 8 to 10 pages of notes a day, leading up to the season, and obviously it ramps up from there. How do you see this new name, image, likeness situation with the NCAA?
That's 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yes. That's what I meant to say. If I mispronounced that, I apologize. Do you see the name, image, likeness thing changing recruiting to where maybe the big boys get bigger because they have the bigger boosters that can help support these athletes? Or do you see the impact in a different way?
I mean, they're already bigger. They're flying on charter planes. They're living in special dormitories. They've got, unlimited meals. But it's going to change. We might be given a high mid-major that has resources, maybe in a city.
Mm-hmm.
But look, and people take this the wrong way. I mean, there are certain people that can become influencers, but everyone can't be an influencer. Mm-hmm. Like every guy that plays can't be an influencer.
Sure.
There are very few people that really truly move the needle. Zion Williamson moves the needle. Johnny Manziel moves the needle. Will there be other guys that can? Yeah, to some extent. But name, image, and likeness is, I'm all for it. The players can get it as long as you can only be good at a certain number of things.
Mm-hmm.
Is it school? Is it your social life? Is it your brand? Or is it your game? I know if you don't work in your game, all right, then your brand's going to suffer. Because at the end of that time, when that jersey name on the front of the jersey is taken away and you're off standing on your own, if you don't work on your game and if you're really serious about being a great player, you're not going to get an opportunity to play where you want to play. That's the level. Now, truth be told, that next level is the most exclusive club. The NBA is the most exclusive club. If you can make it, it's phenomenal. I've had guys that made it, it's great. But I think guys have to find a balance. But I do think the name, image, and likeness, sure, when you hear Ed Orgeron talk about, those boosters about, hey, I know we got the greatest boosters in America and, NIL is important. He's not telling them, but he is telling them exactly what he wants to do. Yep. So, but there are some guys that'll earn it. And I just think guys have to find a balance. I think players, and then understand the financial responsibilities, the time responsibilities, the tax implications, and other things to make sure that, and the contracts that these kids are going to sign, or young people are going to sign, because they're going to be people like any other business that's going to become a high level potential business. There are going to be some people out there, they're going to try to take advantage of people. They're going to try to have someone sign their name image like this to them, and let them become the main person that's going to represent them and want a piece of them on anything and everything they do. And they probably don't want that.
Yeah.
They're going to have to be really. And then how are you going to pay your taxes? You're going to pay your taxes quarterly. How are you going to keep track of your business expenses? How many people are you going to allow in your circle? Are you going to end up to the point where you get pulled in so many directions that school's going to suffer, your game's going to suffer, and every other aspect of your life is going to suffer. So I think finding balance, but I do think that there'll be some quote unquote mid-major type schools, high mid-major type schools that'll be up to compete. But I do think that in the next 5 years, you're going to see 4 major conferences that play football and basketball. You're going to see a major Big East conference that's going to be East and West. Yep. And you'll have the NCAA tournament just the way it is, but those consortium of schools will conduct their business in a different manner without repercussions than maybe the Patriot League or the Ivy League,
right,
or the MAC or the Southern Conference or the Big South, because they don't have resources to conduct their business in that certain way.
Right. So yeah, the big guys are going to stay the big guys, and I think you're right. I think some of those inner city mid majors are going to have more opportunities, and it'll be interesting to see how they bump up, whether it be they get into a bigger conference, or the whole conference expansion and things like that, which is going crazy. Obviously, more immediately for football, but then obviously is going to extend out to basketball. So you're a member of the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. What are some lessons that you took within your Jewish upbringing to allow you to be a better player, coach, analyst, just within your career?
Probably resilience. I mean, I think resilience, because look, anti-Semitism is real. I experienced as the head coach at Long Beach State when we went up to New Mexico State. And look, I mean, my family was not wealthy by any means. My dad was hardworking, but he also lost his business, and we lost everything. So perseverance, through your faith, possibly, and just probably the biggest thing is how important family is.
Yep.
I mean, just again, if you think about the journey of our Jewish people, I mean, family is at the center of everything, and perseverance is at the center of everything. And stick to it, and that wasn't like people walking around. My mom walking, well, you're Jewish, you got to have perseverance. No, but it's the environment in which you live, and you're a byproduct of the people that raise you.
Right.
And I think that my mom's 93 years old. She'll probably kill me if she hears this. She sells real estate in Manhattan and works 7 days a week. So I came from a family that's not afraid to work. You get what you earn, and I think that's one of the traits of a good portion of our people. I don't like to stereotype anyone.
Sure.
So I don't think it's anything to do, but the work ethic and the stick-to-itiveness and the perseverance and family.
Yeah, and I think it's a good message out there for, we have a lot of Jewish athletes as part of our community, and knowing that like perseverance isn't necessarily told to you every day, but you're going to come across those experiences that impact you in a way.
You're going to watch it.
Yeah.
You watch it, you see it.
Mm-hmm.
You see it. You see, I grew up, I saw it. So, I mean, I think that, that's the biggest thing. I mean, I had a chance to be an assistant coach in Maccabi and obviously see Israel in a different way. And that was, but I'm not, just full stop. I'm the world's greatest Jew. I'm just, but I'm proud of my heritage. I mean,
right.
Lenny would probably laugh at me if we were talking about this.
Yeah, I think he told me to ask that question. So
yeah, but I think it's the essence of who you are is how you've been raised and the people you've been raised by, and you try to, no matter what, as a kid, you try to mirror a lot of things you learn from your family. Like I would hope that my daughters learn their work ethic from me. I learned my work ethic from my parents. So whether it's loyalty or perseverance or stick-to-itiveness or dealing with adversity, because I mean, we learned all those lessons in Hebrew school.
Right, exactly. So let's transition to ESPN just for a second. How did that role come about? Was that something you were really going after, or did they kind of reach out to you? How did you transition from being an ACC coach to eventually being at ESPN?
You get fired. Usually kind of happens that way.
Right.
I thought eventually I would do something in media. I went to Fairleigh Dickinson, Harvard on the Hackensack. I was a communications major. Not that I thought I was going to use that early. I thought I was going to have the best team I've ever had that year I got let go. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for me, that year, ESPN asked me to come up. Well, I worked for CSTV during this NCAA tournament before they became CBS College Sports. And I met a guy named Gideon Cohen, who's my agent now, who hired me for one day to come in, and he ended up hiring me for 2 weeks at CBS College Sports because it went so well. So I guess I fooled him. Then he got back to the agent business, and just so happened ESPN the year before I got let go, which was 11 years ago, 10 years ago, I'm starting my 10th year, asked if I could come in during the NCAA tournament. And I thought I was going to come for 3 days. I ended up coming for 9 days. And at the end of those 9 days, John Wildhack, who was oversaw ESPN, came to me and just said, look, I know you love coaching. I know you're excited about your team, which I was very excited. But when you're done, we'd love to have you join us, which I was like, oh my God. And then I flew home to Blacksburg and I was fired. So necessity is mother of invention. I had to do something, I had a daughter going to senior year of high school, and another daughter was finishing up at Virginia Tech, and daughter was working in New York City. And, obviously I was very, very fortunate. I don't take for granted one day the opportunity that John Wild had, Lee Fitting, Mark Gross, and ESPN, Rory Williamson, those people gave me, because I'm very fortunate to do what I love to do, to talk basketball, have a great platform, work with amazing people. But no, I thought I was, I turned down a job when I was at Virginia Tech that would have been a very, very, I can't mention the job, a very high profile job, thinking I was going to be there for a long time. And then eventually, but now I'm starting my 10th year at ESPN, which is, it's crazy to think it's been 10 years.
Right. Yeah. So we'll let you go in a second. I have 3 more quick kind of fun questions at the end. A few of them come from our community, our audience. What hobbies do you get involved with when it's not basketball season? What are the kind of the things you like to do, on the side?
Sure. I like to play golf. I didn't play a ton of golf when I was coaching, obviously. I played more golf in the last years I played in my lifetime. And I play golf competition. A camaraderie. I have a great group of guys to play with. But when you've played or coached for 30, between playing and coaching, basically, till I was 55 years old, every single day was a grind, a fight. You miss that competition. And then my family. I mean, I've got 3 daughters, 2 are married, and grandchild, and your family. But that's the main thing. I mean, play golf, and then since the pandemic, I started walking, which I've become like addicted to walking. It sounds silly, but lost a bunch of weight doing it, and got myself in good shape, and but your family, the older you get, more important family becomes.
Sure.
Not that more important, but you realize, when you coach for 30 plus years, you're obviously you have your family, and they're incredibly supportive, but you also have another family, your players, and then you have a responsibility in your university. And the people that get cheated, in my opinion, a lot of times coaches don't realize, and I worked really hard to include them in everything I did, but is your family. Mm-hmm. So I'd say, family, and I enjoy playing golf, and having a good time being around my friends.
Yep.
I'm not a complicated dude.
Yeah.
Not very complicated on the I'm very, 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 very simple.
Yeah, look, if we can all get to the point where we're playing golf, we're walking every day, and we're hanging out with our families, I think we're doing all right. What are some of those sports teams that you are really passionate about, that you root for, whether it's basketball?
I grew up a Knicks fan, and I grew up a Yankees fan.
Yep.
I think the Knicks, like watching the Garden packed during the playoffs, was like a very cool thing for me. Mm-hmm. Because it brought back incredible memories. Every time I coached in the Garden, and since they've changed the floor of the Garden, it used to come through the middle, where Willis came out. And every time I coached there, I would just stand there, and I would, look up to where I was sitting, which was the last row of the Garden behind the basket on the opposite side of the Knicks bench. And, it kind of brought me back to my childhood. Now they sold those seats. They closed that because those were very, very valuable property in real estate, and you come through the baseline. But, I love going to the Garden. Always have. Had a great record at the Garden, which I'm proud of, because, it's kind of part of my upbringing. But Knicks fan, when I was a coach in South Florida, I became very close with Mr. Steinbrenner, who became a really dear friend. When I was growing up, my dad's closest friend was Mantle Maris's agent. So once a year we'd go to the stadium and go in the locker room and do all that jazz, which was a really cool thing. But I grew up. I am a little bit of a Mets fan, because Jay Horowitz, who the PR guy for the Mets, was my SID at Fairleigh Dickinson, and he's one of the greatest human beings that I know. I would say those are my teams. Grew up sneaking into the U.S. Open tennis. That was pretty cool thing. And, watch that some, but my main teams, I wasn't, Giants, Jets. I mean, I was a New York fan, basically.
Yeah. So the last question we have for you today is a hard-hitting question we ask all of our guests. Where do you fall on the argument over whether pineapple belongs on pizza? Are you for pineapple or anti-pineapple?
No.
I figured a old school New York guy would not go for that. It's just not something that belongs on a slice.
We're not putting pineapple on pizza. No. You put cheese on pizza.
Yeah.
If you go outside the box, you put a little pepperoni on pizza.
Right.
But pineapple, and we don't need like veggie pizzas.
Yeah.
Like that, if you're gonna you want a veggies, have a salad.
Right.
All right. If you want a pizza, put a lot of cheese on it. Make sure it's nice and greasy. I can go either thin crust of them in New York.
Yeah.
Go deep dish if I go to Chicago. But no, it's pineapples. Put pineapple on a drink.
Yeah. I agree. Let's have a pina colada and put it to the side and don't worry about it.
Put it to the side, maybe dip it in there, with those Tito's and tonic with a little pineapple, let it get soaked in pretty good. Drink the drink and then eat the pineapple. You're fine.
Yeah. Well, I definitely learned my lesson. Don't ask a New York guy if he puts pineapple on his pizza. So
no, that's that's embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much. It's been great to hang out with you for a half hour and go through your great career, your Jewish influence and everything. So, Lenny always gets us connected with his old Pittsburgh guys. So just thank you for spending time with us.
Lenny is a great dude. And, truly, I've never seen someone more passionate about impacting other people's lives and passionate about whether he was working in a community center or now obviously with Lost Tribe Esports. Sure. And just trying to create another outlet for young Jewish kids to come together, compete, and have a shared experience. So he's an amazing dude, and I'm really happy for all his success.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I agree everything you said there, and we're excited at Lost Tribe Esports to be able to provide that community for young kids and teens. So thanks for being a part of it, and we'll talk to you later.
But tell those kids while they're doing that, when they're not doing that, get your ass in the gym. You can also make a couple of jumpers, and you can try to do something besides hold some damn control. I mean, get in the gym. Don't put yourself in a small box. Go play, man.
That's why we have a sports podcast, because we had to get, esports is one thing, but there's so many other ways to impact teens.
Tell them to
basketball.
Go out and play.
Yeah.
I mean, sports you can't sit in a room in the dark your whole life. Go out and play, man.
Exactly. I'm going to tape this and send it to my son when he's been in there too long. I'm like, it's time to hit the road and shoot hoops. So
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being our third guest on Pass the Rocks interview sessions, and we will see you next time.
Right. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. You've been great.